Well, good morning, everyone. It's great to see you all. It's 41 on the call right now. By the time we're done, there'll be much more. Hey, listen, I came back from a small EXP conference up in Charlotte, and I just want to share a few things. If you're not going on work chat and workplace in the world, you're missing so many great opportunities. I just wanted to reiterate that those of you who are with EXP, the work chat, workplace, and also the world. There's so many trainings. For instance, if any of you are interested in commercial, there's all kinds of commercial certification trainings for free. And I got to meet our president of EXP Commercial, amazing guy, extremely intelligent. So utilize the tools that you have with the world, workplace, and chat. Not only have I learned so much from the individuals who have been with us for a long time, but here's what I do know. I met about 7 more people that I built a relationship with that I can have referral opportunities with. And then guess what I have to do? And this is the topic for today. It's lead follow-up, right? The first job description we have is lead generation. The second is lead follow-up, right? So I'm going to kind of read a description of what lead follow-up is. Now we're all going to have our own definition. And it's like, well, I called them once and they never called me back, so I won't reach out to them again. That's not lead follow-up. Lead follow-up is reaching out to a lead who has previously interacted with your brand. Even though sales reps don't dread these calls as much as they might dread cold calling, salespeople generally regard them as difficult. So my question to everyone today is, you get a lead, there's no bad lead. I just want to share with you, there is no bad lead. You know what? You know why we call it a bad lead? Because we don't get instant gratification. There's no bad lead. What it really is poor follow-up, bad follow-up, no follow-up. So I kind of want to talk to Curtis and Debbie and kind of work around the 3 of us. And then what I love to do is open it up for Q&A with everyone and kind of give everybody an opportunity to talk about what works for them in lead follow-up, where they struggle with lead follow-up. Here's what I know. Most of the agents that I coach, they'll tell me, I didn't get the listing, someone else got it. I said, well, did you ask for the business? No, I just built a relationship with them. They told me they were going to list with me when they were ready. And then the next day it was on the MLS. That hurts. But you know what? You didn't lose it. You didn't earn it. You didn't even ask for it. So lead follow-up, if you follow up on a timely manner, listen, lead follow-up to all of us is different. For me, it's every day until you work with me. Okay? They're going to go, I'm tired of you calling me. What is it going to take for you to stop calling me? Sign the paperwork, press hard. We used to have to do that a long time ago. Sign here, press hard, because I had to go through 3 copies, right? All right, so lead follow-up is extremely important. And by the way, guys, we have one of the most amazing tools called KV Core. I don't know if anybody on this call that's with EXP knows what KV Core is. I'd be willing to bet that 70% of us on this call doesn't even know we have KV Core and they're with EXP. And that really saddens me, because there's so many high-level follow-up systems and drip campaigns that KV Core offers. So I'm not going to go into a KV Core training or how all that works, but I just want you guys to take the initiative to get something in place. So Curtis, Debbie, do we have a hard shutdown at 9 o'clock today?
I'm good today. I'm good today. I can be here for a little bit.
Well, you're the important one anyways. Thanks, Curtis, for till 9. But we'll open it up to Curtis. Curtis, and by the way, to validate Curtis and Debbie coach some of the top teams in the nation, companies, businesses. They take people from doubling and tripling their production within 2 to 3 years, from 70 million to over 100 million in production. They know what they're talking about. They're seasoned and they're skilled, and they've been coaching for a lot of years. They know what they're talking about. So Curtis, I'm just going to ask a question. how important is lead follow-up? And what are you seeing with your teams and your companies that you're coaching on lead follow-up? I think you're muted or your mic's off.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Perfect. Well, someday we'll figure out how to do Zoom anyway. It's only been like 3 years or something. Listen, lead follow-up's important, right? Because if it wasn't, we wouldn't be talking about it today. And it's the number 2 thing as far as a real estate agent's job description. You know, I can tell you that many people struggle with it, right? Like we all do. And we shouldn't. It should be much easier than that. And I'll get into the why I feel that is here in just a second. Look, here's what we do know. It takes, and I don't remember where I read this, saw this, heard this, whatever, and yet I've heard it a couple of times. It's about 5 to 6, 7 times follow up. I don't remember exactly what the number was before someone chooses to do business with us. Before someone chooses to do business with us. So if that's the number, well, gosh, we've got to have a system then of follow-up that mirrors that or matches that or puts us in alignment with that so that we can get the business from it, right? So, and yet we all struggle with that. We do the 1, 2, maybe 3 at the most, right? And then that's about the extent of it. And I'm with you, Tom, until somebody says, stop calling me, don't stop calling. like that's just tell me to go away and I'll finally get the point, right? And until then, we're in relationship and I'm going to keep calling you. Here's the thing. I don't here, and I was talking to my coach, and this is because I too have folks to follow up with. Debbie, as a team, she and I both have people to follow up with. And I remember, I think it was, and she'll correct me if I'm wrong, because she does that.
She will.
Yeah, it was probably 3-4 weeks ago. We were on the phone with our coach and we were talking to him.
Hey, Curtis, you have a coach?
We do. We got a coach.
All right. Well, I didn't know coaches had coaches. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. And I can't do this alone. This is too big for me. And here's what he said. He said, because I'll tell you what happened. So Deb and I went to a networking event. It was an incredible networking event. And we said that if we go to this event, we're going to, rather than hang out with one another and just talk to one another, we were going to make the most of it. And we were going to go out there and we were going to talk to as many people as we could about their businesses and collect business cards and all the things. So we did that. We were on a mission and we did that. And so we had this incredible list, and it was probably, 50, 60 names or whatever when we had come back. And we were talking to our coach and said, oh my gosh, it's time for us to follow up, right? We've done all the work to generate the lead. Now we got to follow up. And he says, well, what are you going to do? And we said, well, we're just going to jump on the phone. We're going to start calling right now. And he said, stop. He said, stop it. What's the system? That's what he said. He said, what's the system? I don't know. We're just going to call them. He said, no, there's got to be more to it than that. He says, listen, I want you to figure out the system. What does that look like for you? Right. And so, and big question that he had was, what CRM are you using? Oh my gosh. We were fumbling around a little bit. We have one. It doesn't work that well, so we chose a new one. But the point being, what was the system? And he says, until you have mapped out this little system of sorts, don't do anything, because you'll just call and then that's all you'll do. And then you might put them in whatever your CRM is, and you might have something else to it and blah, blah, blah. Or you might not. He says, but don't get in the weeds with all of that. He goes, figure out your system first, then you get on the phone. So I make the phone call, and then I've got this system or this process that I walk through next for follow-up. Is it, adding them to the campaign, putting notes in there, sending a thank you card, whatever, scheduling on my calendar the next time that I call, all the things. He says, until you map all of that out, don't make the phone call so that you have your system. He says, and that right there will keep you on track. Because I think we all struggle with the system. We just call them and then we're like, oh, and then we write their name down over here somewhere or whatever. Yeah. So I got to follow up with those people, like, I don't know, 3 weeks from now. And then we might not, or whatever. Right. So there was just more to it. I don't know if that answered your question, but
I had this amazing system until I hired an assistant, my first real estate assistant. My system was sticky notes and I couldn't find them all the time.
yeah.
Right. and we had this amazing CRM that I was like, oh, I didn't know we had that. Right.
Yeah.
And it's a system, right? So Debbie, what's your perspective and what's your experience on coaching agents and your own personal experience on systems or lead follow-up? How important is it?
Yeah, I just want to talk for a second. Like, we're coaches and we help people create the systems for follow-up. We have our own blind spots, right? Do we know this stuff? Like, the coach goes, what's your system? And we're like, oh, I don't really have one yet. And yet we coach people. The reason you need a coach is even when you know what to do, you get blind spots or stuck. And that's the benefit, right? A coach can see what you can't see, right? All of you on the call, if we said, should you have a CRM and a good follow-up system? 100% of the people on the call would say yes, because we know that that's what we should do. So great. So tell me about your system. Right. And so it's not a judgment thing. It's a help thing, right? So a coach helps you break through those blind spots. Listen, you all know what you need to do. Go make more calls, do better at follow-up, get better at your scripts, write contracts, and close. End of story. Close the computer. You're done. You know what to do. It's hard to do it. It's hard for me to do it for myself, right? And so that's why getting help, a peer, a coach, a mentor, someone that can ask you those questions, because when you're working in your business, it's hard to see what needs to be done. And I think Curtis hit it right on the nose. It's the system. We always know that we need to follow up with people, and where we struggle is the system. And I think the industry has handicapped us a bit, because there's the 36 touch, you got to reach out to them 12 times. We have campaigns, we have social media, we have phone calls, we have postcards, we have all these things. So we look at all those choices. When people have multiple choices, they choose none. And I think we forget that we need to simplify before we complicate it, right? So we need a good way to track who we've spoken to and what we said and when we should follow up with them. Do they need to be on a campaign? Yes. Do we need to be friends with them on social media and like their stuff? Yes. Do we need to mail them birthday cards? Yes. But let's break it down to a simple system to start. Track who we talk to, create a follow-up system. Now, maybe it's put them on a drip, but an email isn't going to get you business. You're going to have to call them, text them, engage with them on a more personal level. Can email get you business? Yes, it can, but it's not going to get you the business like personal interaction, messaging them on Facebook, messaging them through text message, or calling them on the phone. I would much rather see an agent have a phone call only follow-up system than no system, which basically said, Monday after the open house, I call 100% of everybody that was there. If I don't reach them, I call them each. Then on Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday until I reach them. If I don't reach them, then I move them to weekly. The people I do week, I see if I do reach, if I can get an appointment, I schedule the appointment. If I can't get an appointment, I'm going to do weekly follow-up until I ascertain that they might be a longer out sort of purchaser. A cold call, right? Or where someone says, yeah, follow up with me in 3 months. Having a system, which all CRMs do this, where you put a reminder in to follow if they say 3 months, you're following up in 1, right? Hey, I know you said to follow up in 3 months, just checking to see if your time frame's still the same. Has anything changed? Just want to let you know, is there anything I can help you with? I would much rather they have a simple system of just calls than no system. or an email only system. I'd rather them call everybody they knew every quarter as the only system they knew or they used. I'd rather see that, because that will get them more business than I put everybody on a drip. Well, great. How often do you talk to them? I don't really talk to them that often. And so the key is to simplify that follow-up. And then as that system is executed, meaning you're in a rhythm, you duplicate it, you're following it, you are talking to everybody every quarter. Then you add the other layers in of an email, following them on social media, creating those, because it's all a layer, right? So start with simplicity. Use a CRM, write down, open it up. When you open your browser in the morning, the CRM should open. And you should immediately look, who am I following up with today? You make those calls. You put the notes in. What was that, Lorena?
I think she's just, Joe, can you, there you go, thank you.
Yeah. And so it's the system, it's right. It's not the knowledge that we know we need to follow up. It's having a system that we can duplicate, that's executable. And it's difficult with all the choices of how to do that. If I told you, I've primarily been in leadership in the last 10 years. If I can tell you the amount of real estate agents that went back to their office and put me on their real estate client newsletter, like I'm in leadership. I want a leadership newsletter, right? I want an agent to agent newsletter. I don't want an agent to, are you buying in my town? No, I want, right? And so if you're sending those things and it's not applicable to the people, I'd much rather phone call. By the way, coming home from the big conferences, I'd have 200 cards, which means they had my card. Do you know how many of those people followed up with me? Zero. 200. And oh, by the way, over 8 years, 200 every time I went to an event. I went to 2 to 3 events a year, came home with 200 cards, none of them. Now they might've put me on their real estate trip, but they didn't call, they didn't engage. And that's missed opportunities for referrals, right? I love that you said that, Tom, that, everyone you meet is either a buyer or seller or referral candidate.
Absolutely. I have a question for both of you. And I know this is going to probably resonate with a lot of people on the phone. On the Zoom. First of all, you can put an action item on your CRM to make these calls to certain individuals. So whatever CRM you're using, have some kind of action item for every person that you're in follow-up with. How do you take a sphere of influence and put them into a lead follow-up, right? So there's a difference between having a sphere of influence database and a lead follow-up system for your database, right? Like you said, I don't want to reach out to Debbie and say, hey, would you like to buy or sell a home today? Right? Because she's a licensed agent. But how do I take it that, let's say Fred's my past client, so he's in my sphere of influence. How do I take him from sphere of influence to lead follow-up?
Well, I don't know that this will answer your question exactly, and yet I'll do my best. I think we first have to look at it as all the, we're all trying to capture leads, whether they're sphere or whether they're ABC buyers or ABC sellers or whatever, right? And so I just think we have to, and this goes to Debbie's point, we have to start thinking about it a little bit differently. We've got all of these people we talk to, and they all don't get the same follow-up. They all don't get the same drip campaign. They all, they're all different with all different needs and things of that nature, right? So you talk about KV Core, and I'm certain that that's a high-powered CRM that, we need multiple campaigns for all the people, right? Because the conversation with my sphere is going to look different than the conversation with my A seller. And when I say A seller, I'm talking about somebody that's, interested in selling in the next 30, 60 days, right? That kind of thing. And then your B and your C and your so on. So it's going to look different for all of them. And what Deb's talking about is, here we are coaches and we got on, and again, we were both in leadership and we went out there and we met all the agents and stuff as we would go coach and do these things. And it just never ceased to amaze me. They, they take our information, they go put us in some drip campaign, and they're dripping us like the things that they would drip the consumer that's looking to buy a house. And I'm like, well, I have a real estate license. I'm gonna buy my own house with my own self. But why don't you drip me something that says I'm your referral resource in X town that we were at or whatever? So message being different. And what I see is that, and I'm certain that your inbox might even be flooded with it. But if I go pull up the last 10 emails within the last 5 days that I've received from real estate agents, the message doesn't provide value to me. And we got to start thinking, listen, that's why, look, you guys, and I don't even want to go in the weeds with all of this, but we talk about AI and we've all heard it and all the things and whatever. The big thing behind all that stuff is that it customizes the message to the person, right? Like, Netflix, let's just use Netflix. You log in, you watch some stuff, Netflix is taking notes. And then the next time you log in, they throw a bunch of stuff at you that pertains to you, that provides you value as the individual. And then, Tom, if you come over to my house and you log into my Netflix, the stuff that pops up for you is going to look different than the stuff that popped up for me. So we as real estate agents kind of have to do all of that stuff, right? And so it becomes part of that system. So if I've got this KV core, I go create different campaigns and different follow-ups for the different segments of the people, right? And so it does look different for all of them. I don't know.
Curtis, I just had an aha, right? So I have 7,000 people in my database, and yeah, they're probably getting the
same email.
Yes, they're getting that same one. So I'm with you, right? What would you say, Debbie and Curtis? Okay, so I'm trying to look for the right words. So if you have a database of, let's say 1,000 people, the only way to categorize that database for what's right for them is contacting them, right? And then it gives you a touch, and then it gives you the ability to go, is this a lead to buy or sell in the next A, 30 days, B, 60 to 90 days, right? So now they become an active lead, right? So then you can drip on them differently than if it's just a sphere of influence or both.
Well, I love what you just said, because this is the perfect opportunity, right? So if I go in my phone, right, and scroll to the bottom, I got, I don't know, 1,000 people or whatever, however many names I saved. But let's say I wanted to take all of these people and go put them into my KV core system or whatever. Perfect opportunity to call on my people, just talk to them and figure out then when I put them into my system, where they fall, right? Where they fall, and then what my follow-up plan might be, right? So where are they they just go into a sphere, they're a nurture, referral, source, whatever. So then they get this particular value add campaign and they get called once a quarter or whatever, right? But what a perfect opportunity. And you're right. The only way to figure that out is to have the initial conversation with them, right? Mm-hmm. And then now I know where do they go and what plan they get. Yeah.
Debbie.
That's why I was talking, simplicity on the side of complexity, right? To start with one group, right? You talked specifically about a past client. So let's talk about past clients. Past clients have either bought or sold in our town. Now, if they sold in our town, they may have moved out of the town. But let's assume we're talking about past clients that are still local. I might have a quarterly newsletter about what's going on in the town, right? Quarterly, that goes out to that group that says, hey, here's cool stuff coming up for Valentine's Day. Hey, here's cool stuff that I'm doing. I'm going to hold this event. Right? So it's about that town. However, that quarterly newsletter that's about what's happening in the town might be beneficial to referral partners that live outside the town, that says, hey, if you have buyer people are moving or from this area, look at the cool stuff that's going on this town, right? Because now I'm educating these out-of-town buyers or out-of-town people. It also could go to people that are looking to buy in your town that might not live in the town, right? So now you have this quarterly newsletter, right? That's one system that talks about what's going on in the town. You might have, so that's for the sphere of influence. What else would the sphere of influence be interested in? They might be interested in what's happening in the local real estate market. So now I have a quarterly newsletter going out, and maybe this month, that's the only thing I set up. I'm just setting up my quarterly newsletter, and I'm figuring out which segments of my database is this going to go to. And maybe I have 900 people that aren't categorized. I start with the 100 that I know. The past clients for the last 5 years, I know they're local. I'm going to send it to them. The other 900 aren't really set up yet. But as I work through and I have these conversations, I can determine which grouping makes the most sense for them. And in the absence of having a quarterly newsletter, make it a quarterly phone call. If you don't have a quarterly newsletter, it feels like too much work to put a quarterly newsletter together. Oh, by the way, go to your local magazine, whatever magazine is for your town, like whatever that is, go pull the articles out of there and put them in your own words and write them. Like if you need to figure out what the content is, go read your city's past magazines, one that's got the pictures in it that's pretty, right? And now you have a quarterly newsletter, something that you can talk about. So in the absence of that, make it only a quarterly call. Let's make it simple. Okay, I don't have one yet. So right now for my sphere, I'm going to call them once a quarter, right? We want to simplify because we look at all the choices and if you have only one choice, call them and get really good at the CRM, meaning every time I'm talking to someone, my CRM is open, or I have a notebook in my car where I can write it down so that when I get a chance at the end of the day, I'm going to go put the notes in my CRM and get maniacal about that. That's the thing. I am going to put notes, even if you have nobody in KV Core, start today with the people you talk to today and upload them one at a time. I talked to Tom today. Tom's going in. I'm putting my notes in. If I have a drip campaign that makes sense for him, I'm going to start him on him. If not, I'm just going to put the reminder of when I'm going to follow up. If I do an open house, I'm going to put all 10 people that showed up in there, even the ones that said, I'm never going to buy. If I got their contact information, I'm putting them in there. And I'm going to put notes, whatever I remember about them. And I'm going to categorize them open house so that if I ever want to look for everybody that's ever been to an open house, I can go pull up everybody that's ever attended an open house. And I can say, today I'm calling all of them. I'm just touching all of them today. And then every time I talk to somebody, put the CRM reminder of the next touch, right? My philosophy was if I'm calling them monthly, then I just put them on the same day as today, unless it's a Saturday and Sunday. So if I talk to them on the 5th, I just do the reminder on the 5th. That way I don't have everybody on the 1st and the 15th, right? I just do it that same day. And if that's the only thing you did and you got really good at using your CRM and putting notes in there and scheduling follow-up calls, if you never sent a blanket email to anybody, you would be $1 million producer. You would, because that's the key. And get good at what you say to them on the phone to get appointments. Right.
Hey, Debbie, I love where this, we got lead follow-up and then we got sphere of influence follow-up, right? And there's a little bit of a difference because the sphere of influence is either past client, friends, and family that could end up being a lead. Here's what I think happens. And I know it's happened for me. My sphere of influence is a potential lead that I missed because I didn't do a drip campaign properly or a follow-up with a phone call quarterly, right? So if I had 2,000 people in my database or in my cell phone, there's an average of 22 days per month, business days, okay? There's 22 business days per month on average. So if I wanted to call every single one of them quarterly, I only have to make 30 phone calls a day. Now only, that's a lot. It may be a lot to some people. That's just calls. That's not an actual conversation. So out of that 30, you may only have 5 conversations, but leave a voicemail for the other ones. So if you did that, the conversion rate is this. For every 10 people that you have in your cell phone or database, one of them is buying or selling in the next 12 months. So instead of going out paying for leads and really trying to sit there and wait for a lead to come into your system, why not start with our database that we currently have in our cell phone and start categorizing that too? Like Debbie said, our CRM has so many options in there that you can categorize people that live in your neighborhood with a hashtag, people that you sold to the last 12 months, whatever it is. Just go into the training modules and you'll learn that. I think what happened is we make it complicated. Oh, that's too much work. Well, if it added, 10 sales per year to your sales volume, is that too much work?
Yeah.
Because 10 sales today is $90,000 a year, guys. 10.
The other thing I hear, Tom, and this is a major problem that we struggle to solve as agents. It's two-sided. What do I say to the people I know? And how do I not feel salesy, or I'm worried that they're going to feel like if I'm calling them and talking about real estate, they're going to feel like the only reason I'm calling them is to talk about real estate is because I want to take something from them. And how do we, and that's an across the board, 100%, maybe not Fred, probably not Fred, but 100% of people. And by the way, when Fred started, it probably was Fred. It's just not Fred now. Fred's figured out how to overcome that belief that, or no, you haven't figured it out. You just make the calls anyway. That's the other thing, right? Sometimes we don't figure it out. We just move forward in spite of our own fear. So Tom, what do you say? Because by the way, lead generation, lead follow-up, 2 critical pieces to real estate, the most critical pieces. Going on appointments, you can't do that if you don't do the first 2. You can't write contracts if you don't do the first 2. And you can be bad at going on appointments and you can be bad at writing contracts and you can still make a lot of money if you lead generate lead follow-up. You can get people to go with you. If you can't close a listing, bring somebody with you. If you don't know how to write a contract, get somebody to help you, right? You could do that the rest of your life. Get someone to help you do those things. Lead generate, lead follow up. That's all on you. And that is the biggest mountain that I find with the agents by the way, our $100 million producers aren't calling their sphere of influence. They're buying leads. They're not calling the people who like them and care about them and want to help them and give them business. They're not really calling them. Last year was great. Awesome. What did you do in 2021 to create that business? Answered my phone. Now, they did follow up with the purchase lead and follow up with purchase leads. So how much business did you get from your sphere? 6%. How much was a result of you directly calling them and creating that? 0. The 6% called them. 0. So Tom, how do we address that, right? This is the elephant in the room of real estate. How do we address that?
So I when I go to all these meetings, conferences, and I talk to the top producers, and you got many people on our call today that are a referral-based business, right? And sphere of influence, 90%, and that intrigues me because they're not working harder, they're working smarter, right? And they've actually taken the stress out of their job, right? That now they're running a business, right? So I guess what you say is, hello, how are you? Right? You just make the call. Hi, Debbie, this is Tom Martin. First of all, I want to apologize. I haven't called you in about 9 months. How's everything going? Has your life and work been affected by COVID? Is everything okay? What can I do to help you? Are you still currently living in your dream home? Or your forever home? Are you currently living in your forever home still? And immediately, Debbie's probably going to say, I'm not in my forever home. Oh, do you plan on moving? You know, it's not salesy. It's just a conversation. At least for me, I don't feel salesy because I'm going to go direct anyways. But here's what I will say. If you at least make the call and check in with them, that's the most important thing. Whether you sound salesy or not, at least you're making the call.
Make the call badly. Like, why don't you just
Yeah.
care about the people that you know and call them and check on them? And some of those conversations will turn around to real estate. Because if you're going to ask about them, more than likely, they're going to turn around and say, well, how are you, Tom? How are you doing, Deb? Gosh, I don't know if you know what's happening in the real estate market right now, but last year was crazy. Home values are crazy. And we have like no sellers. We have all these buyers. You don't know anyone that might want to sell, do you? Because we got all these buyers and no sellers. Does that sound salesy? I'm just telling you about my world. Here's my world. My world is crazy out there. By the way, have you had anyone help you figure out what the value of your house is? I'd love to be able to send that to you. Just so you know. Oh my God. You bought it 5 years ago. I don't know if it's doubled, but oh my God, you might want to know.
Hey, Debbie, I heard
doing repairs. Do you want to do upgrades? Maybe there's equity in your home. Do you want a new kitchen? Oh my God, I could help you with that.
Hey, Debbie, I heard this from a gentleman in, actually it was a female in Atlanta. This is what she would do. When she neglected her database, she would call them and say, hey, I just wanted to call and say happy birthday. I hope you have a great day. It's not my birthday. Oh my gosh, I need to update my database. When is that birthday? Don't call and say, hey, Merry Christmas. Obviously, we know when that is. But, she would literally call and say, happy birthday. I just wanted to call and wish you a happy birthday. Oh, it's not my birthday. Well, I just wanted to be early. Oh, my database. Let me update it. See, you can say almost anything. So as long as you make the call, right? Make the call and dial
sometimes,
in.
Tom, we have to make the call before the call. If it's your college friend and you haven't talked to them in 20 years, call them up and say, hey, by the way, they didn't call you either, right? So hello, they didn't call you. Hey, gosh, I'm so sorry. I think about you all the time, in that time that we set off the fire alarms or whatever. How you doing? What's new? What's in your world? Blah, blah, blah. Don't talk. If they ask you about your business, talk about real estate, but just connect and then put them on don't just spam them email, put them on a phone call follow-up for 3 months. And see if you can find a way to provide value. Like, hey, what are you into? I'm into, I don't know, football. I love the Steelers. So go hang up the phone, go find a funny Steeler meme or la, 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 and just send it to them and make it in your notes. They like the Steelers. Because now you're developing that connection, and then in 3 months call them back and said, oh my God, did you see what happened to Steelers? Because you pulled up their thing and you've gone and looked up something before you called them. So you see what they did. Roethlisberger's out. He's out. He's never coming back. He's old. He should have retired. I'm happy he's out. Hey, what's new with you? Right. So now you have this continuity. And by the way, when you mention the Steelers, how do they feel?
Yeah.
You remembered. You were listening and you're talking about something I love. I like you. I forgot what a cool dude you were, right? Because now you're connecting on a real level. And you might talk to the guy for a whole year before you actually talk about real estate. That's okay. That's okay. You know, but you're building that relationship and you're earning that business.
Hey, Deb, I want to bring up a couple ahas I got out of the call, and then I want to open it up to everyone. Simplicity versus complexity. We always complicate everything, right? Sphere of influence quarterly. And what do I say? Those are some ahas that I really got out of it. More importantly, visit your CRM and look for 8x8s, 12x12s, 36 touch, and see what those are. And if you go to the Millionaire Real Estate Agent Red Book, it's on page 133 of the Red Book. It'll actually help you understand what those are too. You're in real estate business, you should start learning the database lead generation system of the business, right? That's in the lead generation column, but it's actually a lead follow-up system. So there's simplicity versus complexity and quarterly contacts, and just reaching out to them and put them in a categorize them. So
yeah, and start with one. Don't pick all of them. Look at the 8x8 and say, where can I use this and how can I start implementing it in my database? And once I get that implemented, say, how do I get the 12x12? Where's that going to apply? And if you still struggle with what to say, go talk to these amazing leaders on this call that get referral business. And go, if you're the CEO of your business, you're responsible for figuring out how to develop the skills that you don't have. So go talk to someone who's figured it out and say, hey, I struggle with this. Can I listen to you make calls to your sphere? Can I want to get better because it's my business depends on me getting good at this skill.
Yeah. So it's kind of like all of the people that we have from lead follow-up to our sphere of influence is this huge funnel of people, right? That we close the bottom, we don't open it, right? We just close it. You are in business. You're not just working for the next sale. So are you creating that big funnel with the drip below it for those buyers and sellers that become A's, right? So what happens is you need the campaigns and systems to stay in contact with all those great people that you already have. You don't have to go find new people. Work with the people you currently have and set up a system that we already have. I'd like to open it up. Is anybody like to share what system they use that really works extremely well for them? What aha they got? Come on, share. It's open. Let's hear some successes, some ahas. We have Debbie until we got 13 more minutes. Let's take advantage of that. Joe, by the way, Joe asks questions. He will reach out in a heartbeat for help. He has no issue calling me, texting me, emailing me, and you know what? And it's working for him. So Joe, congratulations on doing that. A lot of people won't reach out, but you guys can reach out. Go ahead, Joe.
So I have a question. So I have about 3,000 leads that I exported from one of my dialers, and I'm getting ready to put them into KV Core. But my question is, a lot of the data, they have multiple phone numbers and multiple emails. And I'm just curious, do you suggest cleaning that up before I put it in there? Or do you suggest just putting it in there and then working those and then cleaning up as you go?
Don't do a data dump. You know, if you do a data dump, you're going to get a lot of people that are not going to read it, unsubscribe. Debbie, go ahead. I'll let you speak on that behalf.
There's, work through that external list, right? You've probably reached quite a few of those people, right? That you identified that phone number. So if you are going to import it, make sure you're importing the good phone number and the good email, and make sure the notes get transferred, right? Make sure that everything's mapped correctly. You might want to take a little 10-person just from experience of dumping data and then finding out it's not mapped correctly or winding up with duplicates and then deleting it all out and starting over, making sure everything gets mapped, because what you really want are the notes. The challenge with dumping that in is none of them have a scheduled follow-up yet. Now, if you want to, for instance, call through 20 today and say, these 20, these are good phone numbers, these are good emails, here's my notes, let me get them uploaded and schedule follow-up for all of those 20. And then every time I work through a 20, upload them in batches so that everybody gets that follow-up touch scheduled. Because it will, the size of the 3,000 will defeat you psychologically for going through each one of those to get them set up on that reminder, right?
Makes sense.
Which is what Tom said, get it cleaned up.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else? Ahas, successes from your follow-up. What's the magic that's working for you?
Isn't it silly that the magic might be just do it?
Yes.
The magic is just do it. I love what she said about, eliminating that limiting belief of, oh, I don't want to sound salesy, or I don't want them to think I'm desperate. I don't want them to think I'm needy or whatever. We know that this business is a marathon. It's not a sprint. So you don't have to close a deal with a friend the first phone call that you've made to them in 6 months, just call, like you said, get back in contact with them, actually show genuine caring. And maybe 3 months from now is when business actually comes up. You don't have to press that. Let it feel natural. Let it be authentic. I think that's super important. I think we tend not to be authentic with those that are closer to us sometimes. And I think that's the harmful part.
Well, thank you so much. How long have you been in the business, Will? Are you brand new?
No.
Did
About 6 years.
Did you make some mistakes on the way and not follow up with the people?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Still do. Everybody does.
So we all do. We're always continuously learning, but like he just said, just do it. I don't know if there's certain people on the call, but you'll hear me say that all the time. Just do it. That Nike symbol it's stuck in my head. Just do it. Liz, by the way, Liz is chiming in. I can't say enough. Between referrals and past clients and her database, there's no one better to talk about that right now.
Hi, I just think,
Okay.
can you hear me? Okay, yeah, I'm up on mute. So I was just, aha moment for me was that you're coaching $100 million producing agents and they're not pulling their SOI. Like that to me is just mind blowing, because that's where 90% of my business is coming from. Like I told you guys before, I don't pay for leads. I'm like, so the fact that people wouldn't even, they're investing money into new leads instead of calling the people that they know and to show them that they actually care. It's just like, what are you doing? So yeah, that was just a huge aha for me. Call the people just be genuine. I don't know how many times we can reiterate that. Is just show people that you love them, show people you care, and the business will come.
Yeah, I'm not saying if you have a big team, you may want to supplement that. I'm not saying never to buy leads. I'm just saying don't leave business on the table, right? Yeah. And here's the thing, I'd rather you do it badly. Call everybody in your database once a year. I get a text from about 3 really big agents once a year on my birthday, a text. Sometimes I get them singing. They send a video text on my birthday. Hey, happy birthday. Reaching out. I'm your great referral partner in whatever city that they're in. It's once a year, but I know their names and I know what city they're connected to once a year. That's all I get. I don't get emails. I don't get phone calls. I don't get text messages once a year, but they do it once a year. And it's consistent. And I'm like, and because you know why? Because every text above that says, happy birthday. I'm your local agent. Happy birthday. Oh my God, 8 years. This guy's been sending me birthday texts and he does it every year. I call him back all the time. I'm saying, I love you. because of your consistency. Keep doing it. Don't change your process. It's amazing. You have 100% of my referral partners that, and by the way, he doesn't answer his phone, so I just leave the message back for him. If you do it badly, that can still get you business.
Do it badly. Happy birthday, by the way, Debbie.
Thank you.
But when it does come up.
I'm taking it every time. I'm still going to make you ask me for my birthday though. Like I'm going to say thanks because I love sales and I love great salespeople. I did a 30-day yoga thing online in January. And I know that she has a program she sells. I'm like, I can't wait for the pitch. I'm looking for it. I'm waiting for it. It's 30 days. I'm like, when she's going to pitch? We got all the way through the end of the 30 days, no pitch. I was like disappointed. How can you not pitch what you sell? I know you sell. You're a passive lead receiver. She didn't ask for a business. She didn't reference the fact that she sells these other programs. I'm like, you should hire me as a coach. I could help you make so much more money. But you know what? I'm sure here's the psychology. I don't want the people that signed up for my free 30 days to feel like this was just a pitch. If you really, in your heart, believe you're providing value to people, then I'm doing you a disservice by not telling you how crazy the market is right now, that there are no sellers, that our buyers are getting rejected and rejected and rejected and rejected. And if they don't have cash, it's even harder. And I care about my buyers. And I want to find a solution for them. And I don't know that we're going to be able to get their offer accepted out there. I might have to find a personal thing, a personal seller that I can connect them to in order to have them be successful.
Hey, Debbie, I want to bring this up. This is totally irrelevant to lead follow-up. Yesterday, I heard a gentleman speak about a company called Curbio, Curbio. Guys, write it down, check it out. So many of us will take a listing and say, oh my gosh, it needs a new roof. If we don't have a new roof, it'll hurt the value of your home. Curbio will pay for the roof. By the way, there's no credit check, there's no nothing. They pay for it and they're reimbursed at the closing table. The gentleman was talking, he was a representative of Curbio. He's talking about how they did $180,000 with the repairs in a home. They are out there to help your sellers and you get that listing. So think about that. If that can help you, that's another tool in your tool belt. Curbio, look it up. So many sellers that we go, oh man, if this was painted and new carpet and new flooring and new blah, 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 and new AC and a new roof, this thing would sell for this. Curbio will do it. Check them out. So.
Hey, Tom, you were talking earlier about, the programs, make sure you stay in workplace and figure out what's going on. Curbio has been our partner for, well, I think 2 years
with the
now.
EXP, yeah. And I just found out.
But this is not only the EXP thing, but in life in general, we just are not curious enough. We don't go in and examine and ask questions, and we don't go play around. And this is one of the things I try to do with all my people is get them addicted to the system because it's so important. And I like what Liz said, it's not easy, it's simple or something like that, right, Liz? And the thing we got to keep in mind is that, when Debbie said, I have it figured, no one does. It's just always, it's just do it. That's the key, just do it. And when we were on the Icon coaching, a number of you on here are signed up for the Icon coaching with Sean. This is one of the points he made too, is that, and he brought up, look this up, hyperbolic discounting, short-term versus long-term. This is what we all suffer from, hyperbolic discounting. It's a formal term, look it up. It's very interesting. And we just all battle with it. We all battle with it. It's just, that's why you got to get to the controls that Liz and I did on Wednesday. You can't control the clock. You can only control your calendar, right? You can't control, what else is going on with everybody's life, but you can control your contacts. And then you can control what concerns you, and you can control what causes you pick up and which ones you should let go and all that kind of stuff. Then Sean on this call said, one thing you got to remember is you have control when you call. You know, as soon as you make that call, you have control. Secondly, you have control of what you're going to say, and then you have control who you're saying it to. And he says, and I love the thing he said is complaining is draining. And as soon as you hesitate to make that call, you're complaining and complacent, which I call the cancer word, worse than cancer, because it causes cancer, is complacency. But I love that. Complaining is draining. And as soon as you catch yourself in doubt, you're complaining to yourself. You're complaining you have to do it. So just keep in mind that where, you know, focus goes, energy flows. So if you just focus, as soon as you feel that self, you're not doing it, just say, uh-oh, I'm being complacent. I don't want cancer. I'm going to do this. And as soon as you do it, then you take control, and then you get more control. It's like little kids with energy. They run around, right? And the people go, oh, I wish I had all that energy. Start running, start moving. You'll get it. You don't get it until you move it, you know? This morning, I did not feel like working out. It was just one of those mornings. I was up late and doing some projects, and it was just like, but what happened? As soon as I started, you know, I felt so good.
I heard this, Fred, I heard this from an amazing coach. Her name is Kate with Glover University. She goes, she's her, just listen to her. She's dynamite. She's young. She's ambitious. She's full of energy. And she says, I'm a fitness nut. There's a lot of days that I don't want to go. I suffer through it so I don't suffer tomorrow by not going today. You're going to suffer. Is it today or tomorrow? Either suffer through it or suffer the consequences by not doing it, right?
Right.
So same thing from today, suffer through it. So I know it, I want to be cautious of Debbie's time. Thank you for being here, Deb. Any last minute ahas for Debbie or thank yous? Thank you for being here, Debbie. I appreciate you very, very much.
Listen, who can I help today? When I get call reluctance, because guess what? I get it too. Who can I help today? Who can I help today? Right? Instead of saying, what can I get from somebody today? Who can I help today? And that makes it easy to pick up the phone. Just FYI, you know, Curtis and I are putting together a 4 to 6 weeks class called Grit that's going to help you exactly with these things coming up, and Tom will have all the details and we'll get that information out to you. So it's going to help you with exactly what we're talking about, building a pipeline of business, not just right now business, but a pipeline, people that you've identified that are going to buy in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, because when you get there, you'll be so thrilled because you'll still find right now business, but you'll have this backup business that you created 3 months ago. So stay tuned with Tom for that being rolled out.
Well, we appreciate all the work you're putting into that. Grit is an awesome word. And when I hear the word grit, I go back to Angela Duckworth, her book. I mean, sometimes we just got to get in and dig and just do what it takes, right? To reap the rewards. Nothing worthwhile, everything worthwhile is uphill, right? Anything that we do that's good for us is work. We got to work at it. And if we want the great results, we better do all the work we want instead of complaining and not getting the results that we want. So we're winners. We're all winners, right? Isn't that what Sean says? Winning, right? We're all winners. Go out and win today and help someone today. Tiffany, I got to get off. So any after party that you do, it's all on you right now. Debbie, thank you so much. And everyone for participating. I appreciate every single one of you.